What is up, everyone? Today we are going to be talking with Alora Rutledge, correct? Is that
Correct.
how you... All right, we're going to be talking to Alora from Season 3 of Sequester. She got pretty far. Unfortunately, Daniel did a lot of stuff, and we're going to be talking to her about the gameplay. We're going to be talking to her about how she got casted, the whole story. So, Alora, first thing to do is, how did you get involved in the whole entire Sequester process?
Oh gosh, well, I have a really long story of how I got involved in the first place, but basically I had heard about it, and I was in the Big Brother chat room one day watching the live feeds, and somebody had mentioned it. And so I was like, oh, I remember hearing about this. I'll go check it out. So I went to the website and saw that they were casting for season 3. So I was like, all right, I'm doing it.
So when you finally find out that you get on the show, you're really excited. Did you watch the intro? Did you see people's videos? How did that work out?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big creeper. It's like one of my best traits. I'm very good at being a creeper. So I went through, watched everyone's videos, found everyone's social media, completely stalked everyone, and just totally judge. And yeah.
Is there anybody that you saw in the intro you were like, I need to work with this person, I need this person out? Any type of vibes from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I knew the second that I saw Jesse come on the screen that we were going to be best friends. I don't know if that necessarily meant that we had to work together, but obviously I was so like magnetized to him that I was like, we're obviously the same person. He was like, oh, I'm a basic white girl. And I was like, oh my God, me too. So yeah. And then Casey, I saw him from the get-go and really felt comfortable with him. So I wanted to work with him. And oh gosh, I mean, like I had an opinion on literally everybody. So, but there was a lot of them that I was kind of unsure about. And so I was just going to go and feel it out on the first day and see how it went and then go from there.
All right, let's talk about Cycle 1. You're finally in the game. You're excited.
Mm-hmm.
We have this new bounty twist. First off, who was your bounty?
My bounty was Casey.
Oh, how did that go?
Well, they sent me my bounty, told me it was Casey, and I was like, this is absolutely not going to happen. There's no way in hell I'm going to gun after him. So the first time that we were in a room together, I was basically like, hey, what's up? I'm Alora, and you're my bounty, and I have zero interest in getting you out. And I said that because, one, that was very true. I didn't want to get him out. And also, I hope that telling him that up front would help build trust with him so that way, you know, he would be on my side as well. Because I wasn't sure how he felt about me at that time. But he was like, yeah, we're good. And so like, okay, well, hopefully you're being honest.
So we start off with the cycle. You have your egg. Were you surprised that you got the egg in the spoon?
I wasn't necessarily surprised. I was actually so scared that first night because, fun random fact about me, I hate peanut butter with a passion. Like the smell of it, it could be in the same room as me and I freak out because I just hate it so much. And so I was scared that I was going to get the peanut butter because I was the first one on the poll. So since it was alphabetical, I was the first one for everything. So I was afraid that people would just go and click the first person for everything. And so I didn't mind the egg. I actually really liked getting the egg because it was the first night and it was an awesome icebreaker. So whenever I'd go into the room, I'd be like holding an egg and like, this is kind of weird, but I could just blame it on the egg. So it's all good. So
It's the egg's fault.
Exactly. I wasn't surprised.
I feel like egg is like a little small theme of the whole entire Sequester thing.
Well, I have like nightmares about Greg at night.
So moving forward to the first cycle, we find out that Callie and Andrew are the big topic of discussion for who should leave. And who did you vote out first? Did you vote Callie out or did you vote Andrew out?
Okay, I still want to lie about this so bad, but I didn't even know that there was any conversation about Callie because I just wasn't in that big room on that first night. I think I might have heard one thing about it, but I didn't think that it was a real thing. Mm-hmm. So the first time I voted out Andrew, which I feel so bad. So Andrew, if you're watching, I'm so sorry. I felt terrible. Whenever I typed it in, I was like, Andrew, sad face, question mark. Like, I don't know. But then the second time around, and I knew that there was that split, I went Callie easy. Sorry, Callie.
All right, so moving into cycle 2, we know that Andrew's still the big topic of discussion because he has a high IQ. And I think it was Drew that mentioned that compared Andrew's IQ to Tiffany's from last season. So do you think that might have made a big impact in Andrew leaving cycle 2?
I don't think that had anything to do with him leaving, to be completely honest. I think that he was just a target from the night before. and nobody wanted to throw out a name, and so they were just throwing out a name that had already been mentioned the night before because everybody was scared to throw out a new name. And so, which, you know, understandably so. And so it just kind of, you know, went on to him because he had already been mentioned and couldn't really do anything to save him.
Yep. And let's talk about the power that you got in Cycle 2. I forgot what it was called, but can you give us a little information about how that worked out and if you were planning, like what your thought process was and overall?
Yeah, so Jesse and I actually were granted this power. I don't know what it's called either, but basically we had the opportunity to go after one of our bounties, and if we got one of them out that night, then we would have had some sort of special power the next night, which we didn't know exactly what that would be. So my bounty was Casey, and I had already told him that. I didn't want to get him out. Even if I hadn't told him, I wouldn't do that. And Jesse told me that his was Daniel. And I was stoked about this because I was like, oh, we got this. We could do this easy. You know, like we could just go put a little word in somebody's ear and it'll spread like wildfire. It'll be so easy. And then I don't even know exactly what happened. But for some reason, someone else's name got brought up. I guess Carson at this point, I don't even know. But it just didn't work out. And I just wish we would have pushed a little bit harder for Daniel.
So Cycle 3, you find out the polls aren't up. Did you expect a double eviction because the polls weren't up, or did you just like have no idea? And if so, who were your targets at that time? Who'd you have in mind for the double eviction?
I knew that there was going to be a double eviction because I saw on Twitter people were saying, oh, you know, there's no polls up. You know what that means? And I mean, there can't really be anything else what that means. So, and there's so many of us, and, you know, there had to be double evictions along the way. So I just knew it was coming. I didn't necessarily have a particular target. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't me. I honestly didn't care at that point. So I don't know. I mean, I think that that's when the first time I threw out Eddie's name was that night. And then Daniel, obviously, from the night before. But other than that, I didn't really have a particular target until like the second I got in there and I was in the same room with Lana. And I was like, oh, sorry, girl.
Yeah. So you voted Carson and Lana out, or did you vote Lana out twice?
No, I actually had zero clue that Carson's name was out there. Whenever I was I was sitting in the room with Lana and all the elimination, you know, the video going on. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to have to sit here and watch this poor girl's face. You know, like, I don't want to do this. It's going to be so uncomfortable. And then it was like, Lana, you're safe. And I was like, yeah, I was genuinely shocked. So I did not vote out Carson.
So you voted Lana out twice, is what you're saying?
I did, because I actually take, I don't want to say credit, I will say blame for the demise of Lana, because I pushed for her so hard in that first half that I was like, oh shoot, if she does not get out tonight, tomorrow she's going to be gunning after me because somehow she's going to find out that I was gunning after her and I'm going to be screwed. So I just kept pushing for her and then she got out. Sorry.
All right, so moving on to Cycle 4. We finally have this date twist, and it seems like Jesse is the big topic of discussion because Jesse and you were mentioned on a blog or something like that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was really unfortunate because we were mentioned together as this duo that's not going to separate. And it was mostly positive, but there were a couple of negative things said about Jesse, like he's a big gamer, blah, blah, blah. And so his name was really a hot topic that night. I don't think that mine was that night. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I haven't gone back. And by the way, yeah, I haven't watched like anything. I'm just not ready. Like I'm not mentally ready.
You gotta wait for it. You gotta wait for it.
Yeah, I'm not prepared. And everybody's watching them. I'm like, okay, you can send me clips, but I'm not gonna watch them. But anyways, so yeah, his name was out there, and I tried so hard to save my sweet baby Jesse, but I just couldn't do it. So
did you vote? Who'd you vote out that night?
That night, I wrote it down every night who I voted out. Somebody like random, like I think I voted Daniel, to be honest. But just because I knew that I knew I came to a point about 5 minutes before that I was like, I can't do anything except for try and then vote for somebody else, and it didn't work out.
It sucks that Jesse had to leave, but
no.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Cycle 5. Cycle 5, it's between you and Daniel. Let's talk about this. Daniel's throwing your name out, and let's get a little bit more insight on your perspective on this. So what are you thinking at this point? Like, you're trying to flip to get Daniel out. Evie's really not on board. Is there anything that you did, wish you would have done differently? Let's talk about that.
I mean, there's not really anything I could have done. I knew that day, I was so stressed out that whole week. Like, even now, I'm still a little bit messed up from everything that happened. It's mentally taxing. But I knew during the day that I might have to fight for my life that night. And I did not know the extent of how true that was. But we got in there, and I know Daniel's name was being thrown out. And then that's whenever Daniel had mentioned to Evie that something like I didn't trust her, and then he told me that she didn't trust me or something. I don't know. It was all so fast. But I didn't have a reason really to go after anybody else. So I was just highlighting that so much so that people would believe me. And I don't even know if I really even believed myself, but I just kept on saying it as if it was the truest thing I had ever heard in my entire life. And it just didn't work. And so those last couple of minutes, I was like, you know what? I am done here. I'm just going to try to blow everything up as much as I can. And then at least like go out and flip my hair on the way.
It seemed like on the after show too that you were like, why are these people doing this? They're insane. Were you talking about Daniel?
No, I was talking about everybody because, I mean, he was such an easy target. And I know that that's why they kept him in there. So it's hard for me to say because obviously I'm going to say they're crazy for voting me out.
Yeah.
But I just thought that he was so easy. And I was like, I'm free game. Like, Daniel's obviously connected to Evie. And he has somebody. And my Jesse got out the night before. So I'm like, I don't have anybody. And I really thought that I had Casey and Drew on board. And then those last couple of minutes, I thought that I had Annette and Miranda. And then, like I had mentioned in the finale, that I was just trying to rile Daniel up so that way he would get a penalty vote for messing up the third person challenge. Because he was one strike away from it. And I just thought that if I just kept getting him to yell at me, he would mess up. And he didn't.
Well, I mean, that comes into play into, damn it, my notes. It comes into play into my the next cycle, which is cycle 6, and it's all about Daniel. So some of your influence on the previous cycle came into this too.
Right.
Daniel is the topic of discussion, but how do you feel in a viewer's perspective now about trying to get Drew out over Daniel?
I mean, that one's hard. It was so different watching. Not only was it just a different experience because I wasn't a part of it, but it was just hard to watch because it's crazy how emotionally invested you get after such a short amount of time. And so it was so hard for me to watch all this go down and me have no influence on it. But I mean, honestly, Drew was brilliant, and I hate saying it, but like getting him out was so smart because he's such a good player. And I don't think that he would have been, I don't think that there was a way that he would not have won if he got past that. But, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't really win any comps. He seemed like he had the social influence, and he played a really good strategic game. And I think Annette using that power had a really big influence in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know everyone saw the timestamps of her saying that, you know, she was not influenced by anybody to do that. And that's what her game move was. And I hate that anybody else took credit for that because that was so her.
Yeah.
And she just like didn't get credit for it until after this was all over. So
moving on to second cycle before the final 3 competition. It's a double eviction. Who did you think was going to get out? The 2 people before that cycle even happened.
Oh, God, I had no idea. Like at that point, I was just confused as to anything that was going to happen the next minute later. Things changed so quick that you never know. So that one was a very difficult one. I had no idea what was going to happen. It really depended on the LOC. So you can't really do anything before the LOC because the second you throw out a name, if that person wins the LOC, they're coming after you, and you're not. So it really just depended on that. And then the first part of it, yeah, Evie won both of them. So, I mean.
Yeah. So let's talk about that cycle. Casey and Annette plea. Do you think Evie made a smarter choice keeping Annette? No, I'm not keeping Annette. Keeping Casey over Annette, or do you think it should have been the other way around?
I think it should have been the other way around, even though I'm glad that she kept Casey. I I mean, I don't know. I look at Casey and I see a really smart person, and I mean,
And that was Annette's plea, and that was constantly saying, Casey's actually a really good player, and he's hiding it really well. So why do you think Evie didn't believe that over what Annette said?
oh man, mm, I don't know. I don't know, Chris. I don't know.
All right, so I guess we'll move past this. The final three. Casey, were you surprised how fast Casey finished that?
No, not at all. Was not surprised at all, and I loved watching it.
Casey's like, yeah, I'm done. I want to go to the other rooms. No, you can't do that. He's like, all right, bye. And then another hour.
Nobody knew how cars. I was LOLing so hard, like on my couch by myself. Like, this is the greatest day ever. Like,
so it's between Daniel and Evie. And who you're rooting for Daniel more? Or are you rooting for Evie more? Which between the two?
oh God, I don't know. At that point, it was. What do you? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we find out Daniel and Casey are in the final two, right? So it's between them two.
Yeah.
We have one person's story, which is I was targeted the most, and I ended up making it to the final two. And then we have Casey's story, which is I played a very low key, and I won all the competitions at the very end when I needed to. Which story? Obviously, you voted Casey to win, but did you have any sort of opinion about Daniel's story compared to Jesse's?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Daniel had a really great argument, just like everybody was saying on the way. He's going to have a great story on his way out. And believe it or not, I know he probably wouldn't believe it, but I did have to sit there and think about it because I was like, he was right. He was a target the whole time. But then I turn around and look at it another way and think Casey was never a target because of what he was able to do. And I didn't feel like Daniel kept himself in. I feel like everybody else kept him in because he was a target. And so you can look at that as something he did on his part or something everyone else did. But I just felt at the end of the day that Casey didn't have to work that hard to stay in. And that's impressive.
Yep. And Casey wins. So congrats on Casey winning the game. Overall, what did you think about the season, and what was your favorite part in the season in general?
Okay. Overall, I thought it was amazing. It was so fast. But I feel like it was a year ago. So so much happens in such a short amount of time. I lost so much sleep. I lost weight. I was miserable, but it was so much fun, that's weird to say, like right after I just said the opposite. But it was awesome. My favorite part, to be completely honest, was the night that I got evicted or eliminated. After that, I just felt amazing. So I was like, you know what? This was an awesome experience. I love doing it. I had the opportunity to come in here and do something that I never thought that I was going to do. And then I didn't sizzle out. So that was my favorite part.
All right, that's good to hear. So moving into next season, what advice would you give someone that wants to get casted? What's the best thing you think you can give to them?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people learned a lot from watching our season because everybody was so dynamic and there was so many different sorts of people in our cast. So Audrey is amazing at casting, obviously. So I have no worries about it being an awesome cast. That's just a guarantee. So, I mean, just do your thing. That's my only advice because you're there for a reason and you're a vital piece of the puzzle. And so I think that if everyone's just themselves, which sounds so cheesy, I hate saying that, but it's true, you're gonna do your thing the best if you're yourself. Because I came in and I was a little fake, super, super, super nice girl. Not saying I'm a mean girl, but I went in and I was like, I'm gonna put on this play that I'm this just sparkly, clean, nice girl, and that was my downfall.
Anything new happening with you? Anything you want to share out there before we end this broadcast?
Man, just same old same. It's crazy how awesome everybody is. So we've become friends so fast, and that's already booked a flight out to Austin and can stay with me next month. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I made all these new friends, and I would never take it back.
That's very, very good to hear because it's the same thing in every other season. We all get together. It's a big family. You have something in common. And I feel like moving in the future, people will feel the same way as well. It's especially with season forecast.
Yes, can't wait.
So where can people find you on social media?
In social media, everything is Alora Buzz. So it's ALORABUZZ.
All right. Anything you want to say? Last chance. Anything you want to say before we end this broadcast?
Oh my gosh, that's such a big thing. I don't know. Hashtag Alora for BB19.
That's right. You're applying, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what I do. I have to.
I'm excited for that. Also, your video, your very first video, most of the people in our cast loved it. Just wanted to say that out there.
So some people hated it. I'm gonna find them.
All right, guys. I guess that ends the broadcast. Until next time, guys. Peace.